Hello, I'm Mystic Orange and this is video hashtag 658. In this video, I'll be reviewing and discussing a TV show called The 7D. This is the show that I've been watching for the past 10 days with a sprinkle of procrastination. Anyway, make sure to like, share and subscribe and let's get into this video. So first off, what is 7D and what is it about? So the 7D is a show from Disney Channel. I think it appeared on Disney XD. I think it's the modern take of the Seven Dwarfs from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's kind of like a reimagination of the Seven Dwarfs in a modern era. I do think it's a fun concept. Just so you know, this is my first time watching it, but I must say, how I got into this show is very interesting. So I didn't just, research the show. I did watch a video about this. So if you know this YouTuber named Babbity Kate, she's the girl who made TikToks about the Disney princesses. And she made several YouTube videos about Disney characters and such. She even made a 44 minute video about the Seven Dwarfs, particularly about the character Dopey from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And we can say that Dopey is one of her favorite characters, and if I have to be honest, he's probably one of my favorite characters. Dopey is really iconic. He's so charming. I don't know why you wouldn't love him. Even in this reimagination of the Seven Dwarfs, Dopey in the 7D is probably my favorite character. I love when he whistles and he mimics animal noises, and he gives an innocent vibe, which I can totally vibe with. So anyway, I do recommend checking out Babbity Kate on YouTube. I will link her channel in the description. So where can you watch this? Unfortunately, because it's a Disney product, you do have to pay to watch it. On YouTube, you can pay to watch it there. That's how I watch the full seasons. Also, the 7D only has 4 seasons. At least that's what it says in the YouTube playlists of, the 7Ds. Also, by looking at this screenshot, you can tell what movie I've been watching. I've been watching the James and the Giant Peach. Wouldn't recommend that movie. Is the total trash. Those are 2 movies I would recommend though. The Emperor's New Groove and Fox and the Hound are totally worth it. Just so you know. So anyway, the name of this show is called The 7D. I do have pros and cons with this title. Initially, I would not have guessed that this show was about the Seven Dwarfs. If you written it in the paper, just wrote the 7D, it just wouldn't grab your attention. You would be like, what is this about? Because, I did research about the show before, deep diving into it. And when I saw, the 7D, at first I didn't connect the dots. I didn't think it was the 7D that Babbity Kate was talking about. Honestly, when I thought of the 7D, I just thought of something dirty. It could be a boob joke. But once I made the connection, I was fine with it. The 7D, the Seven Dwarfs, is short for dwarfs. And I guess the 7D would indicate the modern take of the dwarfs. And it's kind of making the dwarves younger and more youthful, but not too young. They're not teenagers, more young adults, or at least in their middle ages. They still have their beards or whatnot. I mean, if you looked at characters like Dark or Grumpy or Happy, you'd think they would be older in their ages. However, when you look at characters like Dopey or Bashful, you think they're like in their younger ages. So roughly, I can say like the dwarves are probably like in their mid 30s or something, 30s or 40s. The original dwarves from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I can say like they're probably in their like 70s or 80s, but maybe Dopey is much younger than them. I don't know, but Dopey from the original movie kind of gives me like Ang vibes. Like maybe he's like a monk in disguise. Also, calling it the 7Ds, I think it's a way to, cater to the teenage audience. Because, the 7D was based on, Disney XD. This is probably how, like, Disney executives think how, like, what would a millennial might like? Like, would they like the shortened version of the 7Ds? Kind of giving me, like, the Hello Fellow Kids vibes. Also, this show was around like 2014, the same era we had things like Lab Rats. So I wouldn't put it past them. And now it's time to talk about the animation and the art style of the show. I mean, this is Disney. I mean, you gotta like the animation style. And this is like the 2010s. So I don't know why you wouldn't like the art style of the show. It's colorful, it's vibrant, it makes me happy. So I don't know why anyone would dislike it. I mean, hating on the animation style, I would consider a nitpick. I mean, come on, this is Disney. This is what they're good at. So far, I love this art style. It's one of the best art styles of the shows I've covered. So on that basis, I have to give this show like a 5 out of 5 for the art style. And now it's time to talk about the theme song and the most of the music in the show. I guess the soundtrack of the 7D, because they have like bunch of songs in the show, mostly coming from Happy. I do like the theme song of the show. It kind of nods to the original movie, but it's called Hi Ho, and it's based on that. So I like the connections there. And this is kind of like a modern take of that song. And I like how, the theme song introduces each character. Like he talks about Dopey, talks about Sneezy. I like shows that do that. Shows like Wiz Club does that as well, like showcasing different characters with different powers. I best you can say like this. And now it's time to talk about the theme song and the most of the music in the show. I guess the soundtrack of the 7D, because they have like bunch of songs in the show, mostly coming from Happy. I do like the theme song of the show. It kind of nods to the original movie, but it's called Hi Ho, and it's based on that. So I like the connections there. And this is kind of like a modern take of that song. And I like how, the theme song introduces each character. Like he talks about Dopey, talks about Sneezy. I like shows that do that. Shows like Wiz Club does that as well, like showcasing different characters with different powers. I best you can say like this theme song is fun and vibrant. So I don't think you can hate on this theme song. But also, I don't think you can love it as well. As iconic as this theme song is, I don't think, it's like the best of the best. And most of the soundtrack of the 7D is barely memorable. Like, I still don't remember them now. and they barely count as songs. They're not worth getting jingled into. So on that basis, I would have to give the theme song and the soundtrack of the 7D 4 out of 5 stars. The reason it's getting 4 out of 5 stars and not 5 out of 5 stars is because its connection to the original movie and the fact that it introduces the different characters. But the soundtrack of the 70 is kind of mid. I will say though, like this show has been fun to watch, and I do have my favorite dwarves. Um, like I said before, like Dopey is probably my favorite, but I do like other dwarf characters too. Like I mentioned, how Dopey is like endearing with his whistles and mimicking animals. I find that really cute. However, I do like characters like Doc and Bashful. They're probably one of my favorites too. I think Doc is cute with his glasses. And you'd think like Doc would be the leader of the dwarves, given that he's smart and everything, but apparently he's not the leader. I feel like me and Doc have a spiritual connection with each other. I'm bashful, I can find him relatable. If you're someone who's shy, I can think like his storyline might, resonate with you. So those are probably the likable characters. Happy and Grumpy are fun too. They have their moments of like being like main character syndromes. I think Happy and Grumpy make like good comedy duos between each other. Like Grumpy and Happy, like Happy goes, drives Grumpy crazy with, especially with all the songs Happy does. So I can see why you might like Grumpy and Happy. Sleepy and Sneezy, however, like I get they're alright, but they're not all that interesting in my opinion. I mean, there's so much you can do with like a Sneezy character or a Sleepy character. Like you think of storylines what you can do with a character with allergic reactions to things, and a character who is lazy all the time. I mean, I can see what you can do, but I don't think the show, did that much with them. Especially Sneezy. I don't think there's much you can do with a character who sneezes a lot. I mean, I can imagine scenarios how that might work, but I don't think it works for a show like the 7Ds. Also, with this show, it does remind me a lot of other shows. Well, particularly, like, this show is, like, personality based. Like, each, dwarf has different personality, matching, the names. So, like, Grumpy is Grumpy, Sneezy is Sneezy. But there's other shows that, like, this show reminds me of that follows the same formula. For one thing, this makes me think of the Mr. Man show. And I feel like characters like Sneezy would work there. Like you don't have to have like a storyline for Sneezy. You can just have like character interactions between him and a different character. And I think for Mr. Menschel kind of scenario, a Sneezy would work. I don't think he would work in like a show like the 7Ds. There's also a show called The Oddbods. It's like a show with like different characters with different colors, and they also have different personalities. And I can see like with personalities like Sneezy or Sleepy would work in a show like The Oddbods because I think it's more of like a gag type show. And I kind of see some resemblance. Like Sleepy and Zeke have a lot in common because they're both lazy and they sleep a lot. And then you have Grumpy and Fuse who are both like the angry types. Anyway, this show has been a lot of fun to watch. It's not the best show ever, but like I don't see why watching this show would make you unhappy. So go for it, watch it. Like Like, don't expect so much from the show, but like, don't expect anything less. I personally think it's a good show to watch. So overall, for the entire show, I would have to give this show like 4 out of 5 stars. Like, it has to be done. Anyway, I guess my review is over. Thank you for watching this video. Check out the 70s if you want to. I understand if you don't want to, that's fine. But this is a call for action though. Do check out Babby T. Kate. Show her some love. Let her know that I sent you over there. So yeah. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe, and have a lovely day.